In this tutorial, we'll add a graphic to our web page and work with some elements for the graphic. First thing we want to do is we want to look at that folder that we downloaded. You will see there is a separate folder called Images. You'll want to have a folder like this for your projects you do in this class where you save all your images. The reasons this is important is it allows you to separate your images from your HTML and style sheets. That way when you go to update, it makes things easier and things aren't such a mess on the back end of your site. So if we click in the images folder, we will see there are several images. We're going to add Warwick Castle. I've already added it into the code for I can walk you through it and then we can make additions together. Under our header 2, you're going to want to create a space and you will type the code you see here. What this is it's the open tag, then image or img space src, short for search, equals. Then we see in quotes our images here. This coding right here tells us that it's going to the folder and then this is the image we want it to refer to. It's important that we put JPEG if it's a JPEG image. You'll want to review the information in your book regarding the different type of web images we can use. The way we know this is a JPEG image is when we look at our file type, it says JPG, which is a JPEG. So at this point, if we save and test our coding, we will see we have this really large picture of one of the buildings at Warwick Castle. There's other things we can do to this coding. We can go after our quotes there and we can add a height and a width. So say we want to make that picture smaller. We obviously want to keep in mind that the picture we're using isn't a square. It's more like a 4:6 photo. So maybe we want to take this picture and we want to make the height on it 200. So we can do height equals, in quotes, 200. Now if we wanted it to be square, which this picture isn't, so it kind of smush it, we would do width equals 200. But we're going to go ahead and make the width 300 on this one. We can also add a border if we wanted to do this. We would type border equals, and then in quotes we can put the size we want the border to be. So I'm going to just say a border of 1. We also could add an ID if we want to use it later in the ID value. We could add a title. We could add vertical space onto this too. One of the most important things we can add is an alt text, and I expect you to use alt text on every photo you do in this class. Reason being is it makes it accessible for users. So if you have somebody who can't download images, they can see the alt description of the image. Or if you have someone who's visually impaired, their screen reader will tell them there's an image there and it'll read your alt description. So to do this, we do alt equals, and in quotes, we're going to put building at Warwick Castle, and we're going to put for educational purposes only. The reason we put this is that if someone's viewing our page, they know that we're creating this for school. This photo, while it was copywritten potentially by the person who took it, we're saying we're only using it for education. We're not using it to sell. We're not using it for anything else. Again, as we told you in the beginning though, these photos were taken by an instructor at the university, so it's no big deal using these photos in this week's lesson for the tutorial practice. And we'll go ahead and save it, and let's go back and let's test our page. As you can see, our photo got smaller. We've got the border around it. And if we viewed it without being able to see it, we would see there's alt text on it. We can inspect it and it might bring us up information on it. Right here, it'll tell you building at Warwick Castle. So we see it on our alt text. Now we can do several other things with images. You'll want to refer to your book, that way you can understand how to add titles and how to align it, like if you wanted to right align the image. And actually we can do that real quick. Go before Alt, and we're going to type align. Oh, ALIGN equals, and we'll say right. We could save it, and we could test our file again. And you can see it's now right aligned. So there's several files in this week's practice folder. That way you can practice adding images and aligning them and applying properties. One cool thing we can do is we can add a hyperlink to our image. So this is really, really similar to how we added a hyperlink to text. So to do this, we would just do the space href equals, and the page we want to add it to, I'm just going to add this, I'm going to put a space and go back and add it to www.cnn.com. We'd probably want to do the HTTP first, but we can test and see if that works. Then we close our link the same way we closed it before. We save it, we test our page. Now if we run our image or our cursor over our image, we see the hand and we can click, and oh, if I would have typed it correctly with HTTP, we would have gone to CNN.com. So that is how you add an image and a hyperlink onto the page. You'll want to move on to the next tutorial, which will talk about some interesting things you can do with images.